not saved. Faith is faith. You either have it or you don't. Now, are you saying that because James says faith without works is dead? Okay. So are you saying if there's no works, that person's not saved?
I would answer that question with this one question to you because you can answer this. Can living faith save or dead faith save? That's the question James is asking. Can living faith save or dead faith save? That's another question he was asking.
I believe faith can save. I don't believe that because he says, can faith save? So here's my belief on James, okay? So I believe in free grace theology, okay? So I believe that, salvation, for example, is a one-time event, and it happens the moment someone believes in Jesus for everlasting life, okay? Now, believing on the Lord Jesus Christ, I think the Bible is extremely clear that that's the only prerequisite for salvation. Now, when it comes to James and when it comes to Paul, okay, so in Romans 4:5, we know that justification, being saved, eternally secure, our position is through faith alone. Now, James, on the other hand, he's talking to his brethren. So right off the bat, we know that these are saved believers, but he's not talking about eternal salvation. Okay, so I make the distinction of physical salvation and eternal salvation. For example, when the word save is used in the Bible, it doesn't always refer to eternal salvation. For example, Peter, when he was drowning and said, "Lord, save me," he wasn't asking Jesus to save him from hell. He was asking him to save him from drowning. Now, in James 2, he's talking about our physical salvation. Okay, so we know faith can save, yes. But at the end of the day, what does Hebrews say? God will chastise every son whom he receiveth. So if we're living in the flesh, we're sinning, we're not we're not doing the works. Well, God will chastise his children. We know God will never commit spiritual abortion. We believe, we agree on that. You cannot lose your salvation. But if you live a life of sin as a saved believer, you will be chastised on this earth. So James is talking about, hey, listen, if you have no works and your faith is dead or inactive, get some works. Because yes, faith's going to save you, obviously, eternally, but it's not going to save you our temporal salvation is not secure, as in he can chastise us. We can lose rewards in heaven. So I don't believe James at all is talking about salvation. So when I see a Lord salvationist say, well, faith without works is dead, you got to have the works. Well, no. They're misunderstanding. They're confusing temporal salvation and eternal salvation. There's a distinction, and you can't, if you don't recognize that simple distinction, it creates confusion, because then it leads to believers looking to themselves. Do I have the works? Am I living right enough? Am I actually saved? Well, of course they are if they believe, but their spiritual walk, their spiritual education, that's gonna depend on how much they walk in the Spirit. Does that make sense?
So I was gonna ask real quick, what do you mean by physical redemption, or physical whatever you said, physical redemption, right?
Right. So physical salvation. So that's a good
salvation,
right? So that's a good, that's a good question. So technically in James, okay, so when he's talking about faith without works, and he says, can faith without works save? Well, of course not, okay? Sin never pays. Now, faith without works can't save you from the consequences here and now of, say, our spiritual, let's say we're being slothful, we're sinning. That's not going to save us from the chastisement of God. We know in Hebrews it says that God chastises every son whom he receiveth. Right?
All right, I got you.
Salvation because God can curse us here on earth if we're not living according to his word as a believer, as sons of God. So that's what I mean. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So you believe that it's just okay. So the best way I can drive this home is, what does James say in James 2? He says, even the devils believe, but have but they tremble. So what is he saying? He's saying they believe and they're not saved. They're not doing, and because if they were saved, because they believe, if they were saved, because you can believe in Jesus Christ and still not actually go, because you can believe in him.
The devils believe on Jesus Christ.
Hold on. I'll look at it. Hold on. I got James 2 right
Yeah,
here.
I've had many lordship salvationists say that to me. The devils, of course, believe in Jesus. They know there's a God. Okay, even the Muslims know there's a God. Even the Mormons know there's a God. But at the end of the day, are they actually trusting? Are they putting their faith on Jesus Christ for salvation? Of course not.
How do
So
you
when
know?
they believe, they're not believing on Jesus Christ. They're
How do you
believing in
know?
Christ, because
How
that's
do you
what it
know?
says. Even the devils believe and tremble. But are you trying to tell me that the demons and the devils?
But no, this is my question. How do we know? By their
Go
works,
ahead.
right? By their works, right?
By whose works?
By their works, by the devil's works. They
No.
believe, but we know they're not saved by their works.
No, we know they're not saved because they haven't believed on Jesus Christ for salvation. That's what saved. Like, for example, okay, Colin, if I did no works this week, if I didn't go to church, I didn't read my Bible, I to be honest with you, I lived in sin, can I say that my faith is alive? No. As James said, my faith would be dead. Now, I would have to get some works in order to regain fellowship with God, of course. It's the daily walk. I mean, if I'm not doing work, my
Wait a
faith is
minute.
inactive. It doesn't mean I'm not saved. You know what I mean?
Wait,
Like, all
wait a minute.
James is
So,
saying, hey guys, get some work to go with your faith. Because if your faith is dead, you're not profiting anybody. A dead faith profits nobody. A dead faith gets you to heaven, yeah, but that's about it. You
can
can
you
be
stop?
chastised
Hold
on
on.
earth. You can lose your reward.
Hold on.